Welcome to today's video about Claude Certified Architect, Foundations, CCA-F, Exam Prep. Introduction to Claude Certified Architect, Foundations, CCA-F. Exam details. Claude Certified Architect, Foundations. CCA-F exam domains and key knowledge areas. CCA-F exam scenarios you should understand. Best study tips to prepare for the CCA-F exam. 1. You are managing context in a long-running Claude code session that has accumulated a large amount of exploratory tool calls. You want to free up context space without completely losing the memory of what was previously worked on. Which techniques are recommended? Choose 2 correct answers. A. Use the compact command to summarize conversation history and reclaim context space. B. Use the clear command to erase all history and rely on the model's pre-trained knowledge. C. Save key findings to a scratchpad file and delegate verbose exploration to subagents. D. Delete older messages from the conversation array manually to ensure hard truncation. 2. In a long-running code-based debugging session, the agent makes important intermediate discoveries but starts forgetting earlier constraints as the context window fills. How can you ensure these intermediate discoveries survive context compression boundaries? A. Declare global variables in the system prompt to hold state. B. Use the resume flag to append the new context to the old session. C. Persist critical intermediate state to XML scratchpad files, which survive session boundaries and context resets. D. Apply the lost in the middle effect by placing the discoveries in the exact center of the prompt. 3. When building an agent that queries a backend order system, the lookup_order tool returns a JSON object with 40+ fields, but the age only needs the order status, shipping date, and tracking number. What context optimization technique should be applied? A. Implement a post tool use hook to trim the verbose tool outputs, returning only the relevant fields to the agent's context. B. Prompt the model to ignore the irrelevant fields after the full JSON object is appended to the conversation history. C. Utilize the compact command immediately after every tool call. D. Use a pre-tool use hook to block the tool call entirely and escalate to a human. 4. A developer is using a multi-agent system to analyze a massive legacy codebase. The coordinator agent is running out of context window space because the search tool returns verbose file contents and exploration noise. What is the best pattern to mitigate this context degradation? A. Share the full coordinator conversation history with all subagents to ensure maximum context propagation. B. Delegate the verbose file by file exploration to a subagent, which then returns only a synthesized summary of its findings back to the coordinator's context. C. Force the coordinator agent to use the bash tool to run grep manually instead of reading files. D. Switch from dynamic adaptive decomposition to static prompt chaining to force a linear review path. 5. A quicktechie.com engineer pauses an active Claude code investigation session, makes several manual code modifications to the project files in a separate IDE, and then resumes the Claude session. What is the recommended practice to ensure reliable continued analysis? A. Use the compact command to clear Claude's memory of the old file states automatically. B. Explicitly inform the resumed session about the specific file changes for targeted reanalysis rather than requiring full re-exploration. C. Rely on Claude's background file system watcher to automatically update the context window. D. Invoke a pre-tool use hook to block Claude from reading any newly modified files. 6. When implementing structured data extraction for an application, what does utilizing tool_use with a strict JSON schema explicitly guarantee? A. Both structural compliance and semantic correctness of the extracted data. B. Structural compliance, ensuring valid JSON syntax and required fields, but not semantic accuracy. C. Elimination of all hallucinations and inaccurate data extraction. D. Automatic retry loops if the extracted values fail business logic validation. 7. In a continuous integration (C) pipeline, you run a script where a single Claude session generates a block of code and then immediately reviews its own changes in the same session. Why is this considered an architectural anti-pattern? A. The reviewer retains the reasoning context from the code generation phase, creating confirmation bias and reducing the likelihood of catching subtle issues. B. It exceeds the maximum token limit for the context window, causing the session to silently truncate the generated code. C. Same session reviews trigger rate limiting automatically, breaking the C/CD pipeline. D. The message batches API does not support multi-turn tool calling within a single request. 8. What is the only reliable and architecturally correct signal in the Claude API to determine whether an agentic loop should continue executing tools or terminate? A. Parsing the assistant's natural language text output for completion keywords like task complete. B. Inspecting the stop_reason field of the response for tool_use versus end_turn. C. Monitoring the total token count and exiting the loop when it reaches the context window limit. D. Setting a hard maximum iteration cap of 5 loops to prevent infinite execution. 9. In a multi-pass review architecture, how can you effectively automate the routing of identified findings for human review calibration? A. Run verification passes where the model outputs field-level confidence scores alongside findings to enable calibrated review routing. B. Rely strictly on the model's self-reported conversational confidence score in the output. C. Escalate any finding that flags more than 5 lines of code. D. Use the message batches API to delay findings until the end of week manual review. 10. When configuring a JSON extraction schema for document categorization where new or unexpected document types might appear, what is the recommended design pattern? A. Use an open-ended string field with no constraints to maximize flexibility. B. Use a rigid enum containing only the currently known document types. C. Include an other enum value paired with a document type detail string field for extensible categorization. D. Use a pre-tool use hook to intercept and reject unknown document types. Check the correct answers for each question. Subscribe Passert for more IT exam prep.